Okay, so today we have a new director in Region 4, new since November, and
Remember?
he's the director of Toontown, and it's Adam Scott. Hi, Adam.
Hi.
So we're just going to get to know you a little bit. Can you tell us about your musical background?
My musical background. I grew up singing barbershop. I suppose that started my musical training better than anything else. Joined my father's chorus when I was 11.
And what was that chorus?
It's called the Color Country Chorus, the most alliterative chorus name ever in southwestern Utah, very close to Las Vegas. That's just where I grew up. I grew up singing with my dad and my older brothers, who all sang barbershop. Not all of them, but three of my older brothers sang barbershop. And loved it. That got me into music. I majored in music in college, and
And where did you go to college?
I went to Utah State,
Okay.
where I got my bachelor's degree in music composition, and then I also did a master's in conducting.
Wow, that's impressive. So I understand that you do some arranging for barbershop. Is that
A little
true?
bit, a little bit. I do. Uh got hundreds. I probably have 1,200 files, I think, in my Sibelius files now. So I'm in the hundreds, depending on how you slice it.
Okay. Do you adapt them for women's arrangements?
That's a longer question than is typically answered. That tends to go better if you write it specifically for women first. If you write it for women's voices first, you can basically hit transpose and make a decent men's arrangement in closed voicing. You take a men's arrangement, we tend to write more in open voicing. You have to call it invert and multiply. You have to change and tweak some things to take a TTBB into an SSAA. But if you have an SSAA, you basically just hit transpose and it's done. So that typically means you're going to take the tenor down an octave and give it to the baritone, and you're going to take where the baritone is and give it to the tenor with some spicy gene therapy along the way. That's a long answer to a short question. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, that's good to know because we're always looking for newer arrangements and that sort of thing. So you were introduced to barbershop with your dad. So how did you find out about Sweet Adeline's?
Oh, Sweet Adelines has been the sister organization forever. The St. George chapter had a fledgling women's chorus in it that was usually more like a VLQ.
Uh-huh.
That term translates to SAI too, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Um, and they were they were there was a decent women's quartet in the city, but then they just sort of like grew their rehearsal out to a VLQ, and it was never more than like 20 people. But I was always aware of the sister organization, and I've done a number of like 8-part arrangements for double chorus.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, Toontown was in the backyard of Music City when I moved to Nashville to take the post of music editor for the BHS. So
So that's what brought you to Nashville was your job with.
yeah, I was working as a school teacher in teaching 6th and 7th grade, which will make sense because I'm very immature. So um, I taught 6th and 7th grade, loved it. And there was a guy in my chorus, a guy named Jack from Chicago. He's like, "Hey, there's a job in a harmonizer. I think you should apply for it. I think it'd be good for you." When you anyway, so I applied for it and got it, and moved my family to Nashville, and we loved it here. So we were here for 5 years, almost on the nose, and then I got it in my head that I wanted to get a master's, so we moved away. But when my wife finished her doctorate degree, we were like, let's move back to Nashville. We miss it. So
So
here we are.
what's your wife's doctorate in?
My wife was a nurse for 20 something years, and then became a doctor of nursing practice, nurse practitioner. So
Nice.
just started singing barbershop for the very first time.
Really? So she's singing with you?
He sings in Toontown. And
That's great.
it was really, really nerve wracking because it's like a guy watching Star Wars with his wife, like almost looking at her more than at the screen. Like, this is awesome, right? You like this. I need you to like this. I don't need you to love, I need you to like it. And So, but she's the Toontown gals took to her, and they love her. Now they're like, yeah, if if Adam has to go, that's fine, but you can't have Beth.
What part does she sing?
Bethany and I met in a show choir, actually. So she's a very accomplished singer. And at the time she sang soprano in that choir. She joined as a lead and really enjoys the baritone role. She and I was like, baritone's hard. I don't want you to get discouraged. I don't want you to because it's kind of an anti-melody.
Right?
I don't want you to get discouraged if this is tough for you. Stay lead, be happy. She's like, I kind of like this. And I'm like, really? Okay. Because I've had a number of guests visit the course. In fact, just one since I've been in Toontown, where someone came in and they were like, hey, you should try baritone. We never saw that person again because it's hard.
It's
Baritone
very
is
hard.
deceptively hard, especially for a first timer. So I almost never let somebody say, if you're joining us for the first time, you're going to sing lead or bass. Unless you're a coloratura soprano who just loves the high stuff. Just because I don't want you to get discouraged. I want you to find home and be happy there. And another long answer to a short question.
So have you directed many choruses?
4 or 5, I think.
All men's or some women's?
There was a fledgling women's chorus in Salt Lake that we tried to get off the ground, but I moved before things really got far enough. So
Hmm.
this is my first, I'll call this my first real SAI conducting gig.
Okay. So did you sing barbershop in quartetting? Did you quartet with your brothers?
I did. Try not to roll your eyes, but my dad and my 2 older brothers had a quartet called Great Scott.
Oh,
No, I know you rolled. You said you wouldn't.
I didn't roll my eyes, I just groaned.
Which is really funny because my dad and my older brother Tim were all basses, and so we'd make this little shtick of playing paper rock scissors to see who got to sing bass, and it would be like my dad would be like rock. I'd be like, yep, I got paper. Paper covers rock, and he'd go rock. All right, that's the baritone, and it was a dumb little bit.
Well, but it worked.
My dad's a wonderful bass. He's got my voice down a whole step.
Wow. And so were you in any other quartets?
I've been in a few. I sing with a quartet called Gambit now. I've won a couple of district pins, both on bass.
Okay.
I've been in a no one that you would probably recognize, but I've done my share of quartetting.
Great. Great, great, great. So what kind of goals do you have for yourself and for Toontown?
I would love to. Oh, for Toontown, I was going to do some sticky answer.
Well, you can do both.
No, I would love Toontown to be. It's a lofty goal, but I would love us to have 50 members in by my year mark. I tend to think people vote with their feet. So if it's really amazing, then people will come, Ray. I people will come if it's good, and they'll make a way. And in the Nashville chorus, people drive from like 3 hours, multiple directions to come to a really banging chorus. I think people drive from Nashville to sing with Atlanta. So that's not super uncommon. I don't want that for people. I would love us to find people here or to reactivate some of the, we call them lost sheep from pre-COVID days to say, hey, look, COVID's over. Come sing with us. And we've got some folks who have moved here from other locales. I'm like, hey, we're your crew. Come sing with us. So that's my biggest goal, is to just have the numbers be 50. I don't ever want to be more than like 70 singers, because I think it underneath about 25, you have people that have to do multiple roles. It can be really tiresome, be very hard. People can burn out. The best of us can have that happen. 50, you've got to a place where no one's doing double duty. No one has to be, I call them the GSD, the get stuff done guy. You don't have to have just one or two GSDs who just do all the stuff. That's unfair to them. So 50 to 70, I think that's prime time.
And any goals for yourself, or is that all kind of linked together?
I think the goal of a good conductor, to have it said of him or her, I know exactly what you wanted.
Very wise.
That's a conductor who, like, from downbeat one, I knew exactly what you wanted.
Excellent, excellent. Do you have any hobbies other than music?
I do. I've written about 8 novels.
Play.
It's just weird because, like, I'm a composer, so to take a break from composing, I can compose something else. Like, I write fantasy and sci-fi novels. It's a quirky hobby I got into a while back, and I really, really enjoy that. It's odd, but I'm not published or anything. I'm a hobbyist, you might probably say, and I love to barbecue. That is my that's I. Somebody told me that when a man turns 40, he will base his entire personality on gardening, grilling, or tools. And I guess I picked option B. But I do about 80-90% of the cooking at my house. I'm the chef here. When Bethany, my wife, was in graduate school, I went from cooking about 20% of everything to cooking everything, and just found that I really enjoyed it. So there's that. And I am a black belt in Taekwondo. That's my other kitschy hobby. In fact, 5 of the 6 of the Scots in this house are black belts. I used to say that a family that kicks together sticks together.
Oh, cute. Very good. That's awesome. Now, you said previously you had 4 boys, and what are their ages?
My James is 18. I have a boy that will turn 16 in September. I know, because we're trying to teach him how to drive. And I have 9-year-old twins who are 8.5, almost 9.
Keeps you busy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Got lots of titles, and I really like the title Dad.
Do they sing?
All of them can sing. None of them do sing.
Yeah, that
I
happens,
was
unfortunately.
never the dad that wanted to make his kid be little mini me. Uh, I wanted to sing because dad sang, but that was never the thing that bonded me and my boys. Taekwondo sometimes, but not music. My oldest boy played in the band in high school and just loved that to pieces. Just I did too. But none of them. One of James and Chandler both came to a music city rehearsal once, and Chandler was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'd go back to that." But a couple weeks later, they were like, "Yeah, that's your thing, Dad." And I'm like, "I totally respect that, and I don't want to drag you to this because I don't. I need to
But
make
you
you."
planted the seed,
Perhaps, um, perhaps.
and if they choose later on down the road, you had something to do with that.
I'm tickled pink that Bethany sings barbershop. She was a delightful surprise that she actually started to come to Toontown with me.
That's
Hey,
great.
are you interested? And she's like, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." I was like, "Holy crap, you would." I was kind of surprised by that. So it's kind of mini date night on Mondays that we go to Toontown together.
Oh, that's great. So I've asked every director this. Do you have a quote that speaks to you or one that you live by?
Leonard Bernstein said, "To make something amazing in music happen, you need 2 things: a really good idea and not quite enough time."
Interesting. I like that.
A lot of us work really well under duress. I think Mo Field is the one who reminded me of that quote. And I was like, "That's delightful. I'm stealing that." And it totally made sense to me. When I typically arrange very quickly. I can do a song start to finish in a few hours. That's my biggest strength, but it's also my biggest weakness, is that I don't stew and write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. It tends to go down, wow. And as good as it is on the first pass, it probably won't get much better after that, unfortunately. But I don't know. I guess I get into the moment and I'll look and be like, holy crap, it's 1:30. I probably ought to go to bed, I think. But that's, I think when we have a deadline, I work really well the deadlines. And I've never feared the blank page. I even write novels. I don't fear the blank page there either. I can just.
Have you ever tried to get your novels published?
For a hot minute, but it's a really weird industry. And if I'm speaking bluntly, I'm not whom publishers are looking for.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So, well, this has been delightful to meet you, and I know that the region will enjoy getting to know you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Toontown on the stage in just a few short weeks.
That's right.
Yeah, so it'll be great to welcome you into the fold.
Well, I would love to meet some of y'all face to face and see how it works.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be there, and we'll welcome you with open arms.
As well.
All right, so we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan.